Hello, it is Diane with Diane's Blue Hearts and Butterflies.com, and this is the Christmas card that my local class made this month, and it's using the Joyful Flurry stamp set and the Frosted Flurry dies, which I've got all mine in here with the stamp sets. And it comes with ones that cut out the outline of some of those stamped images, as well as these that cut out some small snowflakes, cuts out some labels, and then these actually cut out the pieces that pop up out of your card. Whether it be this one, I cut it and used a silver circle. You could have just on a front of a card, have some of these that pop out. These are the ones that these little ones will cut these. And so I wanted to share this with the class. And I have one customer that really loves snowflakes and blue and white for Christmas, not the non-traditional colors. And I also fell in love with this specialty vellum that is in the July to December 2022 mini catalog. There are some that are flocked that have snowflakes, some have just dots, and some of them actually have an iridescent image. And I forgot to bring that over here to share with you, but you can find it. And then I did some stamping on the inside as well. And then this is an embossed, but I wanted to share with you how to do that for this card. So all of the measurements will be over on my blog at dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com, but I'm also going to go through them here. But if you missed something, you can check out my blog for more information. So I did start out with a card base in Night of Navy cardstock at 5.5 by 8.5 inches, scored in landscape at 4 1/4. And let me just fold that real quick and burnish that edge. Then I have a piece of basic white cardstock that's 5 1/4 by 4. This is going to be stamped and then put inside. And then the specialty vellum is also at 5 1/4 by 4, and this is going to go on the front side. And then I cut out 2 of these little snowflakes from the silver foil, and this piece of vellum cardstock is 5 1/4 by 1.5, and this is what we're going to stamp and emboss in the blue color. And then there's also a layered circle. Oh, it's from the layering circles, and this one is about 2 1/8 inch circle. You can make it whatever you want. And this is the piece that we will actually emboss or cut it, use the die that cuts the snowflake that then pops out. And I will share that with you here in just a moment. And then I had some different colored blue and gems and stuff that I have had for a while, and I wanted to use those up. Now, one thing I did want to point out, when you are working with the foils, you can kind of see that this one has a little bit of messed up edges. When I was cutting it out, I was trying very hard not to damage the foil. One thing that I've noticed is after you've been cutting on your plates for a while, you end up with these markings on there. Well, this transfers to a lot of the foils. And so unless you keep a special set of plates, but even if you do, you're still going to mark them up because it's going to die cut through this. But what I do try to do is once I have the die in place, then I lay a piece of either white copy paper, or this is some old vellum that is definitely not in the same quality as the Stampin' Up! Vellum. This is just some old stuff I've had for years and years, decades. And it's very flimsy. It's not as transparent as the vellum cardstock that Stampin' Up! Sells. And so this I just keep around to help me out. So basically I would put that on there, and then this, and then put it between the plates and run it through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And it helps to keep the rest of the markings on these plates from getting on that foil where it's not being die cut. So that's a tip that I wanted to share with you. And there's a couple other tips, but let me just go over this other thing real quick. Get my pieces out of the way here. And so on this piece, and that's the other thing I've mentioned to the people in my class, is sometimes we forget the direction that our card is going, and we're thinking, oh, I'm going to just decorate up the inside and then I'll put it in there. But maybe your card actually goes in horizontal instead of vertical, and so you've stamped everything going the wrong way. So that's why I wanted to point out to them, make sure, because this particular card that we were making this month is going horizontal for this card. So when you have your stuff on the inside, you'll want to make sure that it's able to be read when they just open it up like this, instead of having to turn the card and look the other way. So that is that part. And so basically on this stamping, just turn it over, I just pulled some of the images and sentiments from the stamp set, and I love some of the new colors that they have out. I think I'm going to use the new Tahitian Tide and the Pacific Point and the Balmy Blue, and then the sentiment will be in Night of Navy. So let me go ahead, and you need to remember that when you're inking up your stamp, it is just this raised part that you need to get the ink on. You don't want the ink around the base and around the edges, because it's going to transfer over to what you're doing. So it's tapping the top of the pad. You don't need to push down in. You need to just tap on the top of the pad. Oh, that's hard to say. And get it just on the tops. And you don't need to push down very hard. And so I'm just going to put this over here and stamp the sentiment right there. And then I'm going to stamp the different snowflakes that I want to here around the edge. I'm just going to start with the largest one. And I'll do Pacific Point. And these are really some nice, delicate kind of snowflake. And I'm going to do the Balmy Blue and the little one. So I'll get those off to the side. If you wanted to, you could probably do a couple of others on that side. And I just did a second generation because I had stamped it here darker, and then just the second generation over there. But I re-inked the little one. And then, so that's the stamping to go on the inside. And the next one is the vellum cardstock. Now you can stamp on cards of the vellum cardstock in Versamark and emboss with gold and silver and those colors that we have, but you can also do other colors as long as you have everything ready to go by using the dye-based inks. And the reason, this is the embossing buddy, and I'm just kind of using this on here because I've been handling it and oils and stuff get on my hand. I'm also going to go ahead and open up, this is the clear embossing powder, and I'm wanting my ink to be the Night of Navy for my sentiment. Now with stamping on vellum, you're going to have to be very careful because it tends to slide, whatever you want to call it. It might be, if you're really kind of timid about it, you could use this in a stamparatus, but it can be done. But if you're going to use a dye-based ink or the Versamark, you're going to have to use embossing powder to set it, because it will not dry. This is a non-porous, so it will not dry. You can stamp on vellum with the StazOn inks, the permanent inks, and they will eventually, the alcohol in them will eventually evaporate, so it will stay, but it still takes a little while to let it dry. And so I'm going to, sorry if my head gets in the way, so I want to put this over kind of this way, and I'm just going to go straight down and then straight back up, and then I want to go ahead and put the embossing powder on it while it's still wet. And then kind of just flick off some of the excess. That looks good. And I use a little filter so that I can catch it and pour it back in, the excess. There is a little tool that you can use. I just haven't gotten it yet to be able to use that. I'm going to put up my ink before my fingers get stuck in it. And get those out of the way. And then I'm going to bring out, you do not want to heat emboss over your stamp and pierce mats, because they will melt. I had to learn the hard way. So one of mine has a little spot on it. I wasn't thinking about it, and so it kind of melted. So I'm gonna get these things out of the way. And then I'm going to bring over my heat tool. And yes, it is a very old one. But you want to get this heated up for a little bit to make sure that it's warm before you put it over here. Vellum and window sheet has a tendency to kind of wrinkle or something, so you can see how quickly that turned, but it can kind of wrinkle and bubble up if you don't have this warm before you put it over there. When it's warm, it sets that powder very quickly, and it has a little bit of a raised image where that clear embossing powder is, but it's in, you could have this in any of the colors that Stampin' Up! Has to be able to put on a card. So, and this little thing, I got the idea from the Cow Whisperer, I can't remember her name, and I've been looking for her, and I haven't been able to find her any new stuff in like probably a little over a year. I used to get notifications every time she'd post something, and then life got busy with COVID and everything, and I just lost track. So another tip that I wanted to share with this card, and I'm going to go ahead and bring my pieces out. This one here. This is another kit that I had gotten a lot of things prepared so that I have it ready to go. Actually, yes. I'm wondering if I'm missing something here. Missing one of those stars. I mean stars. Snowflakes. Alright. Hold on. It's down in here. There we go. So when you're attaching vellum, oh, this is one of those ones. It got stamped this way, but the card's going the other way. So that's why I was mentioning that. And so this is going to get put on the inside. Put some adhesive. When you are adhering vellum to cardstock, or wherever you're putting it, you have to be careful because it is see-through when it comes to the you can see if you were to put white glue, glue dots, this adhesive, you'd be able to see through this to find it. Sometimes you can get away with being able to put glue dots and some white glue strategically, some adhesive strategic in places, but if you want to for sure get it around the edges so that you can make sure that it's gonna stick to all the places, you can take, and I don't remember who I saw this from, a couple of different people, but take some of the white glue, and she added a little bit of water. This is an old aqua painter that I have, and I just want to kind of put a little drop of water or two there. And then I have a sponge that's dedicated to glue, and so I'm kind of mixing that up a little bit, thinning it out, and then adhering the glue just around the edges. What this does is it kind of thins it out so that it can dry without you seeing a big glob. And so that's what I'm trying to do. You might not want to get it so thin, but at least you won't see a big glob of the white glue from behind. And then I'm going to take this and put this on the front. I want to make sure I have my border. Then you can just press it down. Might need to hold it a little till it dries. I just don't want to have any glue on my fingers. Right now you can see it, but once it dries, it will be more clear. So, and you can do the same with this strip that's going to go across here, or since we're going to be placing this and the snowflakes, the other snowflakes, we could just take the glue dots and place behind there. And then this piece is what you get after you've run that circle through one of those, I don't know what you call them. It's like a background die cut. I don't know what else to really call it. It cuts so that you can actually pull the pieces up. You can use the piercing tool to kind of help from the other side if you need to. And then they just kind of pop up. These in the middle. I think those are the ones I'm going to push from the back. And the reason that I'm doing that right now is because you're going to want to know where these are and not get glue on these pieces when you go to glue it onto the front of your card, because eventually when you, because the white glue does stay kind of sticky for quite a while, and the when you close the or put the card in the envelope and it goes down and it's sticky, then it will stick down and it won't pop out to give it that kind of thing. So on here, I think I am going to add a little bit of the glue to the back. I'm going to not use quite so much. You don't have to really even water it down if you don't want to. You can just use your sponge to get it, just kind of get it smeared so that it's not such a big glob. I guess that's the word. You don't want to see a glob of white glue behind there, because it won't really, or even if it does dry clear, you still have kind of a big blob. So this allows it to kind of go out a little bit, and it lines up just edge to edge with this. I'm just going to allow some of that to settle. And then I did use the white multi-purpose glue to glue this piece on, and I just added the glue kind of in between spots. Oh, there's a little too much there. I don't use the white glue very much, because I'm an awful gluer. I don't know what else to call it. It's a bad word, but I don't apply white glue well. I tend to get too much. And so, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put this on here. I'm going to use my take your pick tool to help push it down in those spaces. In that middle. And then around the edges, try to get those down. And then I could use white glue on these, but I think I'm going to go ahead and just use a glue dot behind there. It may be a little big. Oh, it didn't come off. It's a little chilly today. We had a winter storm come through. So these glue dots are not wanting to stick very well to what I want them to. So there is that one. Put it there. And another one. Put that one. Gotta roll it up a little bit so it's not showing. And then I'll put that one, I think I'll put that one just right down here. And then I have some, this is the Take Your Pick tool, and it has two ends on this, well, two separate end pieces that go on here. This one has the spatula and the piercing tool, and the other one has two different size stylus points on it. And you can just click this in and lock it in place. You can interchange those. It also has this head that has kind of that tacky gum stuff that they used to sell it in the 80s a lot, and you would use it to hang things on the wall because it wouldn't leave in mess and stuff. But that can help you pick up sequins and other small things and put them on your cards. So just so you'll know what the Take Your Pick tool is if you haven't seen it. And then I took the larger of the rhinestone pieces that I had and I put it kind of in the center. And then these other two I just added around as I wanted. And of course I'm getting them stuck where I don't want them. And then definitely don't want you sticking to my grid paper. Come on. And I think I'm gonna, I don't know, not sure sometimes where to put these, but that way you have some kind of bling on your card. And that's it. So I appreciate you taking the time to visit or watch my YouTube video, and I hope that you will go over and check out the blog for other cards that we made in the October class, along with dimensions and some other cards that I made. And hopefully you like this and other videos I make, and you'll subscribe to my channel. And if you'll share this with others so that my channel can continue to grow, it would be much appreciated. And then if you select the bell icon, you'll be notified when I upload other videos in the future. And the products that you see here you can buy through my blog to shop with me on Stampin' Up! And I appreciate the time that you spent with me in making this project. Thank you.